Liverpool are breaking records and facing big decisions, from smashing £700 million in revenue to injury concerns before West Ham. We've got it all covered. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a Reds update. Liverpool's title triumph sees record-breaking revenues as Reds break £700 million barrier. Liverpool posted record-breaking revenues past £700 million for the first time as the Premier League champions accounts showed an £8 million profit, a huge turnaround from the previous year's £57 million loss. Liverpool's 20th league title and their return to the Champions League allowed them to post record-breaking revenues that surged past the £700 million mark for the first time. In the latest accounts, which were published this morning, the Premier League champions' overall revenue increased by a whopping £89 million to a total of £703 million, which is the highest of any club in the Premier League. Liverpool posted an after-tax profit of £8 million, which is a huge turnaround from the previous year's loss before tax of £57 million. A significant factor in the increase has been media revenue, which jumped up £60 million to £264 million, due, in part, to the Reds' return to the Champions League, where they were eliminated in the last 16 by eventual winners Paris Saint-Germain. Liverpool are believed to have earned just short of £84 million for their run to the knockout stages last season as they finished top of the inaugural group stage of the revamped and more lucrative European Cup before falling on penalties to PSG. The Reds reportedly earned a fraction short of £175 million for winning the Premier League, with prize money consisting of UK and international broadcast payments, equal shares, commercial revenues and facility fees. As many of 30 of their 38 league games were also broadcast, which is reflected in the media revenue uptick. Administrative costs, however, rose considerably, with the £57 million increase bringing the overall figure to £657 million, and staff costs also jumped by £42 million to £428 million. It's believed that staffing expenses have doubled in under 10 years, whilst year-on-year utility bills at Anfield have surged by 107% across the past 4 campaigns. Liverpool contested 2 fewer fixtures last term compared to Jurgen Klopp's final season in 2023-24, yet matchday income still climbed by £14 million to £116 million. This was predominantly down to the reporting window encompassing the first complete campaign with the new Anfield Road stand fully functioning, enabling the Reds to consistently welcome crowds topping 60,000. Meanwhile, the club's commercial division recorded a comparable uplift, generating £322 million altogether. The £15 million improvement in those numbers is connected to the club's continued dedication to staging some of music's biggest stars, with the accounting time frame including shows from Pink and Taylor Swift, who performed 3 nights at Anfield last June during the Blockbuster Eras tour. Fresh collaborations with Japan Airlines, Engelbert Strauss, Lucozade, and Swedish garden equipment company Husqvarna all helped drive commercial income upwards, whilst Liverpool also extended their long-standing arrangement with beer supplier Carlsberg, which, after 42 years, represents the Premier League's longest partnership of its type. The financial year, spanning through to 31st May 2025, doesn't feature the club's decade-long deal with kit manufacturers Adidas, which formally kicked off on 1st August last year. The partnership with the German powerhouse is valued at comfortably over £600 million for the club across the coming 10 years and will appear in next year's accounts. The overall numbers will be seen as a significant triumph for the Reds, who persist in functioning under the self-sufficient framework of proprietors Fenway Sports Group. Liverpool FC's chief financial officer, Jenny Beecham, said, "We make no secret of our desire to run and operate a financially sustainable club, to grow revenue streams, and to do all we can off the pitch to help bring more success on it. The 2024-25 season is a great example of how this can work, with record revenues alongside the men's team winning our 20th league title. The challenge for us is to continue with our growth through the incredible work that we do in areas such as our partnership portfolio and retail offerings, as well as continuing to diversify our focus to best serve our global fan base. The club does face significant cost challenges, including rises in administrative, staffing, and operational costs, alongside the need for us to compete at the highest level of the game across our men and women's teams. Since this reporting period, we have invested significantly to continue to enhance our playing squads, investing in the club's present and in its future too. The numbers undoubtedly enabled the Reds recruitment team to undertake a record-breaking summer expenditure in the transfer window, where they shattered their transfer record twice to capture £116 million Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen and Alexander Isak, who became the most costly player in British football history when he finalised a £125 million move from Newcastle United on September 1st. Liverpool invested approximately £450 million last summer on revamping their playing squad and recouped roughly half of that through departures, though £35 million of which may not be received, as the uncertainty surrounding Harvey Elliott's Aston Villa loan arrangement continues. The Reds injected £7 million into the local economy and assisted over 145,000 individuals through their official charity, the LFC Foundation. Via its Red Neighbours initiative, the foundation also distributed over £500,000 worth of vital food hampers, stadium tours and matchday experiences, while supporting the provision of 1,000 complimentary meals per week in the community. We're also extremely proud of our ongoing and impactful work in communities through LFC Foundation and via our award-winning sustainability program, The Red Way, added Reds chief Beecham. As always, we're fully committed to operating in accordance with football's financial rules and regulations, whilst continuing our focus on providing the best possible platform for success on and off the pitch for our supporters here in Liverpool and around the world. In another news, Arne Slot shares concerning Florian Wirtz's injury update with Star. Out of West Ham clash, Liverpool host struggling West Ham in the Premier League this weekend, but Arne Slot will not be able to call upon Florian Wirtz with the Germany international set for a spell on the sidelines. Arne Slot admits he doesn't know when Florian Wirtz will be available again following the back injury the Liverpool midfielder sustained last weekend. The Germany international was forced to pull out of the team that beat Nottingham Forest 1-0 on Sunday after hurting himself in the warm-up. Slot has now confirmed Wirtz will play no part when Liverpool hosts struggling West Ham on Saturday, and he's not sure when the former Bayer Leverkusen star will be back in action. Jeremy Frimpong trained with us a few times this week, so he's available, but I don't expect Florian Wirtz to be available, Slot said in his pre-match press conference on Friday morning. It's a disappointment. Every time a player is not available is a disappointment. It's something that I didn't expect after last week. While discussing a time frame for Wirtz's return, Slot added, "At this moment in time, I don't know. Usually when I say that, I do know and I don't want to share that. But this time I honestly don't know." It's a big accomplishment for Wirtz to stay fit for such a long time, because he had to make a step up from where he played to the Premier League and Liverpool. It tells a lot about his mentality and work rate that he has stayed fit for so long. It is a disappointment for him and for us, because he has played really, really well lately. Liverpool head into Saturday's game against the Hammers, knowing victory would take them level on points with Manchester United in fourth, with both the Red Devils and Chelsea playing on Sunday. But Slot insists Liverpool will stay focused on themselves rather than the teams around them going into the final stretch of the season. The way I see it, this is another game for us, and we are not so focused on other teams as all managers always say. We are only focused mainly on ourselves, he added. We know we need to win a lot of games because our competitors for these Champions League places are very good teams as well. Winning a lot, that is where our focus is. Not so much about points and gaps, although we are aware of the table, that's for sure. In another news, Arne Slot issues Liverpool injury update on Jeremy Frimpong and Florian Wirtz. The Liverpool head coach was asked during Friday's press conference about the pair's fitness levels ahead of the Premier League encounter against West Ham United. Arne Slot has given a mixed injury update on Jeremy Frimpong and Florian Wirtz. The Liverpool head coach has confirmed Frimpong should be available to face West Ham United on Saturday, but Wirtz has been ruled out. That is not a surprise given the former was pictured back in Liverpool training on Thursday, while observers didn't fail to spot Wirtz's absence. The German sustained a back injury in the warm-up before last Sunday's win over Nottingham Forest, but Slot said after the game he had hoped it would not be a long-term issue. As for Frimpong, he has missed the last 5 matches following a groin injury he suffered during the Champions League win over Karabag on January 29th. Speaking in Friday's press conference, Slot was asked if he expects the former Bayer Leverkusen stars to be fit this weekend. Jeremy is fit. He trained with us a few times this week. He is available. I don't expect Florian to be available, so that is a disappointment, of course. Every time when a player is not available is a disappointment and also something I didn't expect after last week. But sometimes that is how things can evolve, and this time not in a positive way. Pushed on if he knows when Wirtz will return, Slot said, "No, at this moment of time. Usually when I say that I do know that, but don't want to share that, but now I honestly don't know." He has a rhythm, of course. It is a big accomplishment of him that he stayed fit for such a long time, because he had to make a step from where he played towards Liverpool and the Premier League. That he stays fit all the time tells you a lot about the mentality and the work rate of the player and the performance staff. But this week and last week he is not available, and that's a disappointment for him and us because he played really well lately. Liverpool will also be without long-term absentees Connor Bradley, Giovanni Leone, Wataru Endo, and Alexander Isak for the clash with the Hammers. Liverpool heads into the game sitting 6th in the table, but is level on points with 5th-place Chelsea and trails Manchester United in 4th by 3 points. As for West Ham, it currently sits 18th in the table and is 2 points from safety. In another news, Arne Slot pinpoints biggest difference in Mo Salah performances during Liverpool drought. Mohamed Salah has failed to score in his last 9 Premier League games, but Arne Slot believes the Egypt superstar will soon be back to his best in front of goal. Arne Slot insists he isn't concerned by the fact that Mohamed Salah is in the midst of his longest Premier League goal drought since joining Liverpool, because the attacker always scores in the end. The Reds' talisman hasn't found the net in the league since scoring in the 2-0 win over Aston Villa back in November. A run of 9 games either side of Salah's commitments with Egypt at the Africa Cup of Nations. Salah, Liverpool's all-time leading goalscorer in the Premier League, has never gone that long without scoring a league goal since moving to Anfield in 2017. And Slot, who dropped the Egypt star from his starting ICSI earlier in the season, says the only reason Salah's current barren run is being scrutinised is because of how consistently excellent he has been for the champions. He set his own standards and those are so high, and the moment he doesn't score for a few games, people are immediately surprised. That is the biggest compliment he can get, the Dutchman said on Friday. With data, you can use it to your advantage or disadvantage, but not to use the FA Cup game. If we play a Premier League side, you could argue if that is fair, but that's the way it works. If we want to highlight something really positive, we try to forget 1 or 2 games, and if we want to highlight something negative, we can try to forget 1 or 2 games as well. 3 games ago, he had an assist and a goal against a very good Premier League team, Brighton. So that is the reality. And then you can change data and say he did not score in 9 Premier League games. That is the standard he sets for himself, and that is why people are surprised when things like that happen. While Salah has struggled to replicate the sensational form that helped fire Liverpool to Premier League glory last year, Slot pointed out that he is far from the only attacker struggling to find the back of the net consistently. He continued, "We are used to Mo scoring a lot of goals, and at this moment in time, that is maybe the biggest difference in his performance and game time. But we also know this has happened before. I don't know if it happened 9 games in a row, but I've had these questions earlier if didn't score for 3 or 5, but I know in the end he always starts scoring again. That is the challenge he has, and we have now to make sure he starts scoring again. He is not our only attacker at this moment in time that doesn't score as much as we are used to. The focus is totally on him because of everything he did for the club, but Hugo Ekitike and Cody Gakpo haven't scored that many goals recently as well. It is a team thing which we have to improve. The good thing is we keep clean sheets, so they don't need to score as many. Although against Qarabag we scored 6 and scored 4 against Newcastle. In another news, Liverpool star eyed by European giants. But Reds already have replacement plan. Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson Becker has emerged as a serious summer transfer target for Juventus after entering the final few months of his current contract at Anfield. Juventus could offer Alisson the chance to return to Italy in the summer transfer window, as interest in the Liverpool goalkeeper grows ahead of the end of the season. Alisson, 33, has established himself as one of the Premier League's top keepers since moving to Anfield from AS Roma back in 2018. But with his contract up at the end of the 2025-26 campaign, interest from Juventus could lead to an interesting scenario in the summer. Gazzetta dello Sport claim that the Italian giants have turned to the Premier League in their search for a new No. 1, with Alisson and Tottenham's Guglielmo Vicario on their radar. Liverpool have the option to extend Alisson's contract by a further year, meaning that whatever happens, Juventus are highly unlikely to snare the Brazil international on a Bosman transfer if they do act on their interest in him. The Reds have already signed a player in Georgi Mamardashvili, who is considered by many as Alisson's long-term successor in goal, off the back of an impressive few years in Spain with Valencia. However, the Georgia international is still behind Alisson in the pecking order at present. Crucially, Alisson himself has hinted that he expects Liverpool to take up the option in his contract in order to extend his stay on Merseyside. The chances of him spending the remainder of his career at Anfield seem slim though, with Alisson previously expressing a desire to return to his former club, International, one day. I've never been able to plan long term. Obviously now I have 1 year left on my contract and another year of club option, which they will probably exercise, the Liverpool star said last season. It's a decisive moment in my career with a World Cup coming up. I want to be very focused. I don't want anything external to get in the way of that. On his desire to return to his native Brazil, Alisson added, I talk to athletes who have made this move to return. Some have had good experiences, others not. Each one will have their own experience, but I want to return, especially to Inter. I don't know when it will happen, but I still want to do it at a high level. That's what I have planned. In another news, Arne Slot responds to Jamie Carragher calls for Rio Ngumoha to start with 4-word promise. Arne Slot has called for calm following the clamour in the last week to see Rio Ngumoha play more regularly for Liverpool. The teenager helped inspire the Reds' injury-time victory against Nottingham Forest on Sunday, with his introduction off the bench proving pivotal in Liverpool's late surge at the City ground. Since then, several prominent pundits have called for Ngumoha to feature more regularly, including Jamie Carragher, who said the winger needs to be starting games. But Slot, who has repeatedly insisted that he will prioritise Ngumoha's long-term development ahead of focusing on his immediate impact, said there needs to be more perspective, adding he is already seeing the benefits of that holistic approach. You see that his playing time has improved massively over the last few weeks, and there is a reason for that, because he developed and became a better player, Slot said on Friday ahead of the Reds' Premier League clash against West Ham United. I think it is only positive that people start to talk about him because that tells you he does really well. That is something we like, and it is another example of a player that is developing in the last 6, 7, 8 months towards a player that people want to see more and more. The same goes for me because I play him more and more recently. That is due to the fact that he does well when he comes in. The highlight is on his great 1v1 action, and it should be, because I have sat here many times and spoken about how difficult it is to beat someone 1v1 and how important that is in football. But he had a few other actions and moments in that game that we also talk about, and where pundits maybe don't talk about that much. That is part of a development of a player, and I really like where he is at in his development, and I would be surprised if he stayed fit. If not, more minutes will come in the near future. Ngumoha's maturity shone through on and off the pitch at the City ground. Liverpool's number 73 elected to speak to the written media in the post-match mixed zone and spoke about his desire to play more regularly. However, he also emphasised the team's needs above his own and referenced his desire to continue his progression. Slot said, "Ngumoha's mentality, along with his talent, makes the academy protégé a joy to manage," insisting the media spotlight has not impacted him. "It's totally not difficult because of how he is, and that is something special for a 17-year-old to be hyped like he is. Not only now, I think that is throughout his whole career, which is not so long. There has been a lot of talk about him because we can all see how special he is and his talent. He is handling that situation really well, which is a big compliment to him, but also his parents, who raised him, that he is down to earth, works really hard, just keeps going, and doesn't lose his head because a few pundits have given feedback about his game. That is something you need if you want to make the next step. Because if you start believing how special you are after a few comments from pundits, that is probably not the way to become the player he wants to become. He is down to earth, works hard, and understands which part of his game he needs to improve, which is even more abnormal for a 17-year-old. But we have to keep his special quality, and that is beating players in 1v1. That is not 10 out of 10 times working, and it doesn't have to be, but he has to keep on trying. There are not many players in modern football that can take on 1v1s on a regular basis and be successful and beat their opponents a lot of times. That is a quality that is special, and that is why we want to take such good care of him, because we have a lot of belief in how special he is. That's all for today's Liverpool update. Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily LFC news. See you in the next one.